352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. For those who've listened to Robin and I for a long time, the one thing I hope that we have accomplished is that we have your trust. I hope you have figured out that we don't speak to people who are trying to sell you some kind of snake oil and just let it go as if we don't question it at all. And I've told the story many times of the one interview that I refused to do because they were paying, this company was paying to talk about some bath oil, and the claim was that it would cure Alzheimer's. The guy said he got the formula from God, that it was in lights on the wall when he woke up from a dream one day. Anyway, he went out and he got all the ingredients, and he made this bath oil that you could cure Alzheimer's. And I didn't speak to him on the air because I spoke to him off the air to decide whether I would do the interview. And the question I had for him is, why don't you just tell people what the formula is? I mean, I really should make you money from this, but you could tell people what the formula is. You could save so many people the misery of Alzheimer's just because the formula was a big secret.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, hello, do you believe that? I mean, I couldn't believe it at all.
No.
And to expect us to go on the air and talk to the guy as if we thought, whoa, isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I mean, we're supposed to put on this act. Whoa, it's amazing. You're able to cure all. Whoa, let me buy some right now. Bring it to my grandmother. It's crazy, right? So trust is super, super important. When David Letterman...
You never did the interview, just for the...
I never did the interview.
Guest.
No, never did it. But when David Letterman was retiring half a year ago, whenever it was, he brought up, or somebody brought up the time during his career when he was fooling around with somebody on his staff, I think is what it was. And in other words, cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
And gosh, I mean, how do you regain trust? You know, I mean, he was really sincere, I believe, in his regret of having done that. But
yeah, but
that's actually more understandable in my mind, because, you know, we're tempted. But to be saying you got a cure for something, that's, oh, come on.
Yeah, you could take a bath in it and drink it.
Lee Brovedani is on the phone. I hope I'm saying Lee's name correct. She is an expert on trust. Wow, what a thing to be an expert on. She's a professional speaker, a trainer, a coach. She's the founder of the Saga City Consulting, working with companies and individuals in North America, Europe, India, Indonesia, Singapore, Africa, a contributing member of 6 Seconds, and her book is called Trusted, A Leader's Lesson. Lee, I hope I didn't slaughter your name too bad. Good morning, Lee.
No. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Philadelphia, and it's beautiful here. The skies are bright and blue, and it's nice, crisp fall air. It's great for walking in leaves weather.
How much? 46 degrees? 46?
Yeah, you know, brisk.
Brisk. I'm just trying to imagine what it's like. I know I love that area. I'm just trying to imagine what it's like. Well, you see, it's November, and sometimes here in Florida, you say, "Oh, come on, can it be a little cooler?" It's a little. Come on, we want to feel like it's November. So far, it hasn't happened yet. But so
it's hard for me to feel sympathy for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, we can't trust the weather. That's the thing. We'll try to.
Okay.
They said 100% rain, but it's not raining yet. So
no, it was raining. It was.
Should have said 98%.
So we can't trust the weatherman. I'm trying to get the word trust in here. All right. So how do you become an expert? You know what my father always told me? Don't trust anybody until they've really given you a reason to trust them. I mean, you really don't trust anybody.
Yeah. You know, and I always, someone else puts the label on you. You're an expert in trust. And so I am a student of trust, and I'll always be learning about it. And because I spend so much time researching and finding out about trust and talking about how I trust leaders, then when people are talking about you, they say, "Oh, you're an expert on trust." So I actually think that people would be more comfortable saying, "So you've been studying trust for a really long time."
But you know what is weird? If somebody we know tells us a lie that we're sure is a lie, whether they admit it or not, then we sort of don't know whether to believe them from that point on about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one group of people. Then there are the professionals, and you say, okay, this is a doctor. He's got a certificate on his wall. I'm going to trust him to put me under and drill my teeth or whatever, you know. We pay, I guess, for trust. We believe in those certificates.
And so I've said this, and I'll say that trust is simple, but it's not easy. So if you're looking at a simple way to look at it, I talk about 5 C's of trust. And so they're caring, commitment, consistency, competence or capability, and then communication. So we'll trust someone more if we believe that they care about us. And care can be as simple as when someone is talking to you, I mean, putting their cell phone down, and they're not
right.
texting someone while you're having this conversation and saying,
right.
"I need to talk to you, this is really important."
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And then
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, the two of you have been working together since 1984, so you know each other really well. So you have an idea of how you work together. There's a consistency and a pattern of behavior that you've grown really comfortable with. So I would guess that the two of you trust each other because you know what to expect from each other.
Absolutely, right. That's so true. But going back to, okay, using the 2 examples, I used the David Letterman cheating on his wife example, and I used the guy trying to sell bath oil that could cure Alzheimer's. The second example, the guy with the bath oil, he didn't care at all about the listeners. He didn't care at all. He just wanted to make $1.
Yeah. And you didn't trust him at all either.
No, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't believe he even believed that we would believe that. I don't understand how. He could have shown us all his his whatever certificates he had. He probably had something. Yeah. He had some kind of credentials. Yeah.
And there's so many things that enter into that. First of all, how competent was he? What was his proof of competency? Where was his capability? And he's also appealing to people who are so desperate. My mother has Alzheimer's.
Right.
And if someone could guarantee that, you know, if you can bathe your mother in this magic oil, she'll be cured, and you can have a conversation that you had with her 10 years ago, I'm welling up, you know, as I talk.
Yeah.
And so he's appealing.
Well,
from my perspective, that's the lowest of the low. He's appealing to people who are desperate.
Absolutely. And you know what he knows? He knows everybody who is suffering from cancer knows this or has said this, that it might be false, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so he makes money based on the fact that people are willing to, I don't believe it, but I'll give it a shot. I'll pay the $10 for that bottle of crap. You know, maybe it's, you know, or $50 or $100, whatever it is. And he makes money based on that, the thing you just described. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there's always that on us, if we're going to trust people, there's a lot of things. I say that before you can trust anybody else, you have to trust yourself. So you have to trust your own intuition. You have to trust your ability to read people. So fortunately for your listeners, you had that ability to go, wait a minute, you know, this doesn't make any sense at all. And trusting your ability to make good decisions so that other people aren't taken advantage of. And it also comes back on you. If you would have done this, how would that have affected people's ability to trust you in the future? And
you know, listeners can see right through you.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're on the air as much as we are, they know us. I mean, we can't hide anything. We can pretend, we can kid with them, but that's different. Kidding is different than trying to pull something over on them. So.
Right. And you are expressing right now one of your other 5 C's, the capability and competence, because everybody wants to feel capable and competent of doing the right thing.
I was asked, you know, what's the biggest way you can rebuild trust, and that would take days of talking about it. But I can say that sometimes the easiest one to rebuild is if someone's not capable and they get the training. So if you don't trust them because you don't believe that they have the skills to do something. So I'm thinking of someone that is working with the two of you, and you say, okay, we need you to come in and take over for us. But they don't have the skills to actually operate all of the equipment. They might have the skills to talk to people. Well, that's a fairly easy fix if they have the will and they have the desire and they're going to take the time, then you can train them. And so then your trust in their ability to be able to do what they said that they would do is there.
Yeah,
so capability and competence is kind of one of those ones. If that's the reason you're not trusting someone, that's something that you can work on.
That isn't, that's kind of an easy fix. Let's take a little break, and we'll continue this conversation on the other side of the break. Trust, by the way, is one of those issues that an adversary to a political candidate, somebody who doesn't want that other person to win, that's the first thing they'll try to break in the public's mind is the trust. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing right now. You can name any one of them, right? Right?
It's true.
The people who don't like the people are bringing up things so that you, the voter, won't trust them. Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
There's probably no candidate that hasn't had this happen in the past 4 weeks or so. All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be warm and humid on this Monday with clouds and sun, along with a shower or thunderstorm in spots this afternoon. The high 82 to 86. Mostly cloudy, warm, and muggy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm in spots, mainly during the evening hours over the interior. The overnight low 69 to 73. For tomorrow, times of clouds and sun, warm and humid with a shower in the area. The high 83 to 87. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Central Florida Eye Institute is the area's leader in laser vision correction. From high-definition refraction surgery and LASIK vision correction to custom cataract, glaucoma, and diabetic treatment, you can count on Dr. Crowley and his effective, friendly staff to provide you with the quality care you deserve. Call 352-237-8400 for an appointment or more information. That number again is 352-237-8400. Looking forward to service your vision needs.
The Harvest Fest Music and Food Truck Festival is coming to Ocala's Tuscaloosa Park on Saturday, November 14th. The Feel Downtown live event is free with a donation of a canned good or non-perishable food item featuring 8 live bands with headliner Blackberry Smoke, all-day music, 10 food trucks, and a craft beer garden. Donated food will be distributed by Project Hope for local families in need. Go online to feeldowntownlive.com for more information about Harvest Fest.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
And it's bad thoughts about messing up or not being good enough that kill confidence. So tell yourself, you can do it. Blowing bubbles can help us fall asleep because it's like a deep breathing exercise helping to calm our body and mind. And since blowing bubbles feel silly, it helps the mind move on from worries that might keep us awake. So throw back some cranberry juice, improve your heart health within 24 hours.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
18 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Lee Brovedani is on the phone. Did she say she's in Philadelphia?
Yes,
Philadelphia.
She is. Philadelphia.
It's where it's 46 degrees.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I have no idea.
Very brisk.
I'm just guessing on the temperature. All right, so in about 40 minutes from now, there will be a man in these studios who is my mechanic. He does a radio show every Monday. His name is Matt. I trust Matt with my car. And let me tell you something. When my car broke down and he told me what was wrong with it, even though it was going to be like a $900 repair, and it was a hard pill to swallow, but I said, okay, I know that he's not lying to me. I know that's what it needs.
Right.
So, there's trust. Now, if I ever suspected that a mechanic wasn't being trustworthy, that would mean I would look for another mechanic. I mean, that would be my fix. I don't know how they would fix losing trust, but I know how the person who has lost trust would fix it. Just get a new one. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. You gave a good example, Larry, when you were talking about David Letterman, and actually that was one of the examples that I've used when I've talked to people. because when it came to light, everything I read, and I'm hoping that all of my facts and figures are correct, but what I heard is that he took responsibility for what he had done right away. He didn't try and lie and say, I never had sex with that woman.
Right, exactly.
He said, yes, I did, and then he got on the air and said, it's not something I'm proud about. It's something that my wife and I have had discussions, and he did all of the things that I would advise someone to do, which was he apologized first to the people who were affected. So the first people, before he apologized on air, from what I read, he went and he made it better with his family as much as you can, but he apologized to his family. And then he apologized to everyone who was affected, which was all of the people who had believed him to be a stand-up guy, which was all of the people who watch him.
Yeah.
And then,
I don't know if there's certain things we can betray somebody with that we can regain our trust, but that's got to be one of the hardest ones, although it's probably one of the easiest ones to understand.
Yeah, and I don't know, I've heard this so many times that, it takes a lifetime to build trust and only a moment to completely ruin it.
Yeah.
And I don't really, I see it differently. And so if you think of trust as this building that is really on the edge of a cliff, but it's supported by these structures, and you constantly are making sure that those structures are solid and can support the building. So trust is supported by the small kindnesses that you do all the time. It's by telling the truth when you can. I mean, sometimes that's really complicated, because if I'm a manager and I know that I'm going to be laying off 100 people because there's the sale of the company, but I can't disclose any of that, then telling the truth when someone comes up and says, tell me the truth, am I going to have a job? I'm thinking of buying a house. Like, trust can get really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, wow. I see that.
You tell as much of the truth. You say, I'll tell you as much as I can tell you at this moment.
So let me share.
And I would just wait.
I want to share a story with you. This is when I worked. I worked years ago for the state of Florida, and I worked for the juvenile detention people. And one of the guys was in charge of a group of kids who were, like teenagers who were going to court to be tried for whatever crime they had committed. So he was in charge of, let's say, a dozen kids, and one of the boys needs to use the restroom. So he unhandcuffs the boy, lets him go into the restroom, and stays with the other 11 kids. The kid gets out through the bathroom window and escapes. Okay, so now the guy is facing being fired because you can't trust him with the kids, with the juvenile delinquents, mm-hmm. right? And my defense of him, not that I'm not an attorney in any way. I'm just saying, I was trying to stand up for him. I said, you know what? No, you can trust him more than you can trust anybody else at this point, because he will never make that mistake again. That was in my mind. Sometimes a mistake like that looks like it means you can't be trusted is different than an intentional.
Yeah, and I sometimes think that the safest time to fly in a plane, people are going to go, is she crazy? But the safest time to fly in a plane is after there's been a problem with that airline in another area, because now they are going to be so careful.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly.
So,
and that brings you to one of your other 5 C's is communication, because you had so eloquently expressed about David Letterman, how he was communicating with everybody.
Yeah, and so you have to be able to communicate when you can't even communicate. I interviewed a high trust leader. His name was Harry Harrington, and just a really great guy. And he was talking about, he goes across the country and they have town hall meetings. And at the town hall meetings, he has said, I'll answer any of your questions. And at one of the town hall meetings, they said, we want to know this particular information. And he said, okay. I said I'd answer any question, but I need to let you know that if I answer that, then everybody in this room now has insider information, and you won't be able to buy or sell any of the stocks within this company. So, quite willing to answer it. I just want to ask all of you, do you want me to answer it? Mm-hmm. And they withdrew the question. Now, he could have said, I can't answer that question.
But he said
and
why.
People would have said he's a big liar. He said why? So you tell why you can't tell, which is
that is pretty. Wow,
people.
That's like a chess game. You have to think 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you say anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is the book for? Well, I'm guessing it's for everybody. See, if my neighbor violates his wife's trust by having an affair, that doesn't mean I can't trust him to work on my car. I mean, his failure to be trustworthy in a marriage doesn't affect his ability to help me out with whatever I need. So
that's right.
You know, and then what happened even in the affair, if this was a one of, and he has been a faithful, loving, wonderful father, and he's always been great to his wife, and yada, 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 and he makes a mistake, then that's different from someone who has a character that never answers honestly to questions, has affairs, you know. So that when someone gives me that, well, how could I ever trust him again?
Right.
It's, well, what are the values of this particular person? What has been their conduct up until this point? So it's one of those structures, which is why I say, if one of the structures breaks, but all of the other ones are really solid, the building's not going to crash down to the ground.
So what's the conclusion? Do we trust people for certain things and not for other things? If I know what do you call it, a pathological liar, somebody who always lies, but he's my driver. Let's say he drives a limo, and I'm and he's really good at that. That's the only thing I really need to trust him on. I don't care that he's making up these big stories about whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, that would be my take on it. There's a great line that get to know someone and trust them to be who they say they are. But instead, we get to know someone and we want them to be who we want them to be, and when they're not, we cry.
But you really have a great outlook on things, because you went with your husband's career that took you to different cities around the world.
Yes, yeah. And it's been interesting because different cultures have a different way of looking at trust. So in India, for example, warmest, wonderful people, and there's lots of things that I would say I trust them over and above, you know, anything. But you also understand that a lot of times it's very inexpensive to hire somebody else, and they don't want to lose their job. So a lot of times their answer is yes to every question that you ask. Can you come back and fix this tomorrow? Yes, of course, ma'am. Of course I'll be here. The next day, and you're saying, so, can you fix this? Yes, of course. And so I learned to ask different questions, because I knew that these were people that I could trust, that when they were able to do it, they would do it. So I found that when they did something, they would always get me to sign my name to show that I had done it. So the personal accountability, so when they would, can you fix this light switch, and they would say yes, I'd get a piece of paper and say, you know, so-and-so says that the light switch will be fixed tomorrow, and I'd say, sign here. And they would go, oh, no, I cannot sign that. So I learned how to work within the system. So I trusted because of the culture, and those were, you know, that might not have been everybody's experience, but that was my experience. And so I learned what I could trust.
Wow, this is fascinating. So the book will help me understand the things I can do to either be more trusted or to be more trusting.
Yes, that's my hope. And I wrote it as a story because I read a lot of books, and I've read a lot of research on trust. And because I'm really interested, I will read it right till the end.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that most people are like me, and if the medicine is, you know, with a little bit of sugar, what the saying, you know.
That's right.
So it's a compelling story about someone who really screws up and then has to rebuild trust. So you learn all the lessons.
By the way, I just looked up the temperature in Philadelphia. You have to trust me on this. It says 47. It says 47 degrees. I absolutely guessed 46. I really had no idea.
That's pretty good.
Lee,
and as I said, Brisk is pretty open.
The book is called Trusted. Lee Brovedani, thank you so much. Is the book on Amazon, etc.?
It is where books are sold.
And Lee has a website. It's on our Facebook page, and so will this interview be. Thank you, Lee. That was wonderful. Come back.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'd love to.
We'll be right back.
A Jordanian policeman shot the 2 Americans and 1 South African at a U.S.-funded facility used for training Palestinian and Iraqi security forces outside of Amman. The assailant then committed suicide. 2 other U.S. trainers and 4 other Jordanians were injured.
Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher and our Mideast Bureau. 1 person dead in New York City, 2 wounded in a shooting near Penn Station. Police are still